associate member is on Zoom, so we have to do a roll call.
Okay. Mr. Wood,
Present.
Mr. Palermo,
Present.
Mr. Robbins,
Present.
Mr. Hassinger,
I'm here.
Mr. Mead,
I'm here.
and Mr. Delamole is present.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I have to recuse myself from the 7:30 hearing, and I just wanted to let you know that.
okay. Okay. That said, I think our first item is, as always, is public input. If anyone would like to talk with us about something within our purview, which is not otherwise on the agenda tonight, this is your chance. Raise your hand either in the room or on Zoom.
We have no hands raised on Zoom.
Hmm?
No hands raised on Zoom.
Apparently, we have no public input. All right, action items. Determination of minor modification for the ridings for a sign in the, at the entrance in the right of way. Do we have anybody from them?
I'm here.
Mr. Chair, I'll just do a brief intro and then Kyle can elaborate on anything that I missed.
That's what I usually.
Yeah, the usual order. So the request for determination of minor modification is to add a sign to the front entrance of the Ridings subdivision. Many of you are probably familiar with the subdivision. It spans across Grafton into Westboro. Construction is underway on the Grafton side, as the Westboro side is almost, I think, is complete. So this is just some housekeeping items, and we did want to have the developer come before the board to follow the standard procedure to update the plans, as this sign as designed is going to require a future special permit to get some relief from the board for a sign area, and we just need to make sure the plans are always being consistent. So they're just here to ask solely to add the sign to the plans at the entrance to the subdivision off of Adams Road onto Libby Lane. So it is in the right of way, which will eventually be taken over by the town through the road acceptance process. I did correspond with Kyle and his team about that, letting them know that, the town can't be, in charge or responsible for maintaining that sign going forward. So they did develop a homeowners agreement that was recorded at the registry, and that agreement includes provisions to maintain this sign going forward. That HOA agreement was vetted by town council, and there were no issues. So I'm happy to answer any other questions, and Kyle, if you'd like to add anything that I missed, feel free.
Has it been?
Nope, you covered it all.
Has it been checked out with Public Works?
Yes, so
Okay.
yeah, I spoke to the director about this if the inquiry first came in.
And do we have any idea how this sign compares with a sign, other subdevelopment signs that we've permitted at the entrances?
The signs are typically accounted for in the plans through detail sheets or indicated somewhere on the plans, or they do have to come back and follow this process as
No,
well.
I'm saying there are other subdivisions in town who have signs.
Signs, right?
Now, is this a lot bigger, the same size, maybe smaller?
Oh, I
Some of
see.
the others that we've allowed over there.
This sign, I think it's slightly bigger because most subdivisions will try and just meet meet the zoning if they can. The requirements of the sign bylaw. This one is a little bit bigger. How this compares to some more recent subdivisions that we've permitted. I don't know specs of a recent subdivision off the top of my head, but this has been bigger than what I've seen.
Go ahead.
The sign itself is only 15 square feet, and it's going to be in the center of like a fence section. You can see it on the plan here.
Yeah.
Kind of decorative fence posts.
Okay. Anything from board members?
Nope, just for clarity, it is, from reading the materials, it is my impression that this is being added to the subdivision plan, but that in and of itself does not approve the sign.
Yes, right.
That the actual sign approval will come to the board in sometime in the future as a request for a special permit to grant relief from the usual requirements of a sign in this particular zone.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. And the building commissioner's also been looped in this conversation and did agree that they will need relief from the board as well. So everyone's on the same page. And
So this action tonight is just kind of for reference purposes to have the sign location shown on the subdivision plan. Mm-hmm. But as is typical when we issue a subdivision approval, we typically have language in there that says this does not approve any signs.
yes. I'll make
And so this is consistent with that.
correct. Yes.
And should the board not find an approval for the upcoming special permit for the sign, that would mean this needs to be changed again. Is that correct?
Yes.
Depends on how it's resolved.
Yes. Oh. Yes.
Anybody have any input on this? Anybody have anything they want to say about it?
How about I would propose a motion that the board find that this is a minor modification to the definitive subdivision plan and direct staff to issue correspondence to that effect.
I will second, and I will also point out Natalia has her hand raised on Zoom, Mr. Chair.
All right, moved and seconded. Natalia?
All right, I just had a question. When you said it would be added to the definitive plan, he's not recording it, right? We're just adding it to the documents that the municipality has.
Yes. Yeah. I don't believe having to re-record is necessary as long as we can track it in the internal paperwork and it's accounted for as such. That's suitable. It's minor, so.
This would not be the kind of change. Sometimes a modification of subdivision plan is such that you really want to have that recorded to the registry.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that was clear because it didn't sound that it was clear.
Yep, no, that's a good point to make sure that we're clear on that. That this is not a modification that would be important to record.
Not if it requires signing a whole other set of plans. I'm against that.
That might be.
Anything else? Anybody have anything else? It's been moved and seconded. Are we ready? Ray is not voting on this. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So voted unanimously. Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Brad.
Determination of minor modification at 43 Estabrook Avenue. At the cell tower up on the hill.
That's correct. Yes. Just pulling up the plans.
We have somebody.
Yes, the board, I'm Dominica Tadashori. I work for Crown Castle, which owns the tower at 43 Estabrook.
Yes. I'm waiting to see if Fiona wants to say anything.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. So I'll just give a very quick overview, Dominique, and then you can add to anything, add anything that you'd like. So the applicant is requesting a determination of minor modification for an eligible facilities request. The board is pretty familiar with these requests. We've seen a few of them. It's simply a request to remove and replace existing infrastructure on the monopole, namely the antennas, as well. I'll scroll to the scope of work. Oh, I'm not sharing it anymore. Sorry about that. And bear with me as I scroll. They provided all of their building paperwork as well, just so the board could get an understanding of. There. Okay. Sorry. So the full scope of work is indicated on the title sheet of the plans, but yep. So they will be removing antennas. They will be removing some cabling, some radios, and hybrid trunk cabling, and then that's on the tower itself. And then they will be replacing that infrastructure, and then they will also be removing and replacing radios, enclosures, and a section of the bridge on the ground portion of the monopole, and replacing with new enclosures, transport system, slack box, and timer. So the paperwork that was submitted does provide justification as to why this is an eligible facilities request under section 6409 of the federal law. It doesn't meet the criteria. Myself and the building commissioner vetted this and agreed that this does qualify as an EFR from staff perspective, and this is the criteria here if the board is interested in reviewing that. So at this point, we just need, per our newly updated zoning bylaw, follow our standard zoning process for this, and they will need a formal determination from you folks before they can get their building permit. So I'm happy to, Dominique, if you want to add anything, please feel free.
Thank you. Fiona, you did a great job with the summary. This is, just for the board's knowledge, this is considered routine maintenance for existing carriers. Specifically, this is removal of 6 antennas and replacing with 3 new ones. So a net reduction of 3 antennas and just, ancillary equipment. It's at the same height, no tower expansion or compound expansion.
Okay. I think it's in our memo mentions the five or maybe it's 6 different carriers. Mm-hmm. Dispatch Communications, AT&T, Fiber Tower, Verizon, Dish Wireless, and I'm not sure whether OmniPoint would be counted in that list. How many of those are actually on the tower now?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, just let you know that prior to T-Mobile, which is this application here, it was formerly OmniPoint, and that's where the special permit was originated from. But just to let you know, right now at the top of the tower at the 92-foot level is AT&T. The second level, which is this application before you, it's existing T-Mobile. Underneath that at 69 feet is Verizon, and then at the bottom at 57 feet is Dish. So it's 4 carriers.
I didn't realize we had any towers with 4 carriers, but that's a pretty good location up there, particularly for the turnpike and the valley coming down where I live. Well, more or less. Yeah, I guess. Okay. Anybody have any questions or input? Do it.
Nothing. I will move that the board find that this is an eligible facilities request, and this is a minor modification to the existing special permit, and that the staff be directed to issue all the appropriate documentation to reflect that.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Ken Ray doesn't vote on this. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So voted unanimously.
Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Draft accessory dwelling unit discussion.
Dokes. So I will start.
I read through it. Do it.
Great. That was easy. Thanks, Phil. No, I'm joking. I'll just summarize briefly for the board members and for the public. There's very minor changes since our discussion last time. Basically incorporating the request from the board, having protected use ADUs allowed by right subject to site plan approval in every zone. We clarified some kind of outstanding, I think, kind of just confusions regarding pre-existing non-conforming uses. I took that language straight out of the model bylaw and added that to the future section 5.13. We provided clarification about having the special permit for the second protected use ADU on the same lot, made the edits that Dave had correctly pointed out, that we shouldn't be specifying a pre-existing principal structure, took that away. And yeah, I think that I clarified the language throughout. We were kind of using ADU and protected use ADU interchangeably, and I ran that by council, and council said, no, keep it consistent and be talking specifically about protected use ADUs because they're the subject of the law. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We're trying, as you know, we've discussed previously, we're trying to keep this very simple and straightforward. The law is in effect. You can get a building permit for one of these now. We just need to codify this in our zoning and make sure that the town is exercising what they would like over what they are allowed to have discretion over. So I think, we've accomplished that here. I do have a write-up from town council summarizing that they're okay with these edits as proposed. So I can answer any questions and go from there.
I'm wondering, my questions about the building commissioner issuing site plan approval. And that somewhere here it was clearly stated the planning board is who issues site plan approvals. Has there been any resolution of that?
So I did look into it because we're not stating yet that protected use ADUs require site plan approval. We have no other option besides them applying for a building permit and then doing administrative site plan approval through the commissioner.
I don't think so. I think that they get categorized as the use that it would have been, it's always been, only we don't ask them for the discretionary part. We waive the discretionary part, but the rest of the process is still in effect. The bylaw is there.
I would note that in the proposed use
Yeah.
table, that the by right protected use ADU per lot is designated as P, which is site plan approval by the
Right.
planning board.
Right.
Now, yes.
Yeah, and yeah, I looked at that, but I'm still concerned about this. Now, she can come by and talk to us about it if she wants, but hopefully we won't have many more cases. But she needs to be aware that there's at least one person concerned about it.
Yeah, I did touch base with her, and I will follow up with her again.
Now, we could conceivably have a future discussion about circumstances where site plan approval from the board might not be necessary. What comes to mind is the modification that is entirely interior to an existing structure. There's really no changes to the site plan, so one might consider that doesn't need to come before the board, but that is
I don't think
something we can talk about later. I don't think we need to talk about it now.
because somebody has to decide, someone has to look at a plan and decide that that's the condition.
Like I said, we could think about that. in
That's
the
what
future.
I said. Is there any more discussion on this?
I do have one suggested change here, and that is, you see it on the near the top of the screen, 7.4.B.10, one protected use ADU. That is a duplicate of 7.4.A.1L. It's not needed here because the first thing we say is 7.4B here is the highlighted green is in addition to those listed in 7.4.A.
Yes, yeah,
So
that
it is
redundant.
unnecessary to repeat that in 7.4.B.
Okay, I will get rid of that.
But other than that, there might be things, again, as we've discussed previously and tonight, there might be things we want to look at down the road regarding this, for instance, the topic of ADUs larger than 900 square feet. But I think we all decided last time that we didn't want to touch that just now. We just wanted to do what is necessary to align our zoning bylaw with current state law. And I think this accomplishes that.
I had one clarification question. So when you say the minimum lot size is, doesn't apply, you still have to meet the setback though, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And so how
that,
does that just defaults to the zoning in that area?
yes,
Whatever the
yeah,
setbacks are? Okay.
yeah, that was a big issue with other towns passing zoning bylaws where they were trying to require minimum lot size, and all the AG rejected all of them. So we wanted to just make sure that
Got
we
it.
said it.
Yes, if you read through some of the AG's decisions on ADU bylaw approvals, almost without exception,
Yep.
they're striking various languages. A lot of towns have attempted to limit this to single-family homes, and they've done a variety of things that the AG has said, no, you can't do that. That conflicts with the law, and we're not. I think we've stayed away from all of that here.
Yes, that was the goal. Keep it simple and align with the letter of the law. And, yeah, feeling good about it.
And I think that's sort of, what we've talked about with this from the very first time we discussed this was we wanted to do nothing more than what we needed to do to align with the law.
So,
My only comment was I thought Ethan, the council, did a very nice job with his
Yes.
commentary.
He's really great.
The only other point I wanted to bring up, and this doesn't affect what we've got in writing here. It doesn't affect but it does, the question does come up, does this qualify for a simple majority vote at town meeting? Or does it need a 2/3 vote? And at least part of this clearly falls within the majority vote piece, allowing an ADU by right
Right.
where the ADU meets the definition in chapter 40A regarding the simple majority vote. So the only difference there is the part of it that applies, we're calling protected use ADU. We've got a broader definition of ADU, but the important part is we are allowing by right the protected use ADU, which has the 900 square feet. It matches the 40A definition. What might possibly bump this up into a majority vote is the special permit requirement.
Right.
And all I'm saying is I want to make sure that council has
Is aware.
vetted that so that we know whether, which quantum of vote we need at town meeting. I don't expect that this is going to have any difficulty achieving a 2/3 majority, since it is literally nothing more than aligning with state law.
isn't it council's job, though, to figure that question out?
We rely on council to do that.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
It's just that
actually, isn't it the moderator's job to figure out what vote? Or to state what vote, and to figure out what to state?
Moderator plus council, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
the moderator
Yeah.
would consult council.
Yes.
Yeah,
If
that's,
she thinks that,
Right.
if she thinks she needs to.
that's not That's not our job to figure that out, but I pointed out only because this is perhaps the first time we have a zoning bylaw amendment that potentially falls under the majority vote requirement.
Is this gonna make it into the fall town meeting?
Yes.
We still have time to get it in.
When, well, okay. It strikes me as a rather short.
It's end of month, right? Is our deadline roughly?
It's beginning of September, but I've some internal articles have a little bit more. I made the TA's office aware that we are finalizing this tonight, and they said that was acceptable.
But it has to be we have to have a hearing and
Yeah.
advertise it. And all of that has to happen.
Yep, we are on it.
Within 6 months of when we,
Yes, it'll definitely be within 6 months of town meeting. Yeah, we do have, we are, following this evening, we will be prepared to rock and roll with that tomorrow.
Okay.
And get that set up.
I move that the board submit this proposed zoning bylaw modification with the changes that we've discussed to the fall town meeting warrant.
Second.
moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Ray can't vote on this, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So voted. Okay. Bills.
Do we have any bills?
Yes.
Yeah, we do.
We do.
Move we authorize payment of the bills.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So voted. No meeting minutes. Is that true?
That's correct.
Staff report. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, perfect. Mainly focusing on kind of business as usual things, construction, site surveillance, just kind of been trying to focus on making sure that people are meeting the conditions of their permits to the best of our ability. We do have a lot of inquiries about new developments, a lot of requests to review plans and things in advance. I've been doing a lot of assistance on that front, which is good. We always encourage people to come before staff and talk through anything they have questions about prior to filing. General kind of town meeting prep, meeting a lot with the building commissioner on various issues. Summer intern wrapped up the other day. Fall intern started today. So just getting her set up with some research projects, some requests that we've received that I haven't been able to get to. So I'm going to have her take a look, namely a tree preservation bylaw. That's something that's come up here and there a few times from different people. Just have not been able to jump into it in earnest as much as I'd like. So going to have Clementina is her name, start the groundwork, research, and then I'll take it from there. Other than that, just closing out grants and training Nora. She's doing wonderfully.
The no hire. Or
Yes, Nora, our new hire. Yes, she's wonderful. So, and Natalia's doing a great job training her.
That it on the report?
Yes. Tried to keep it short.
Correspondence. Was there any correspondence that was interesting? Or otherwise?
Nothing caught my eye.
Apparently not. All right, reports, I still have a fraction of a minute. Reports from planning board representatives on town committees and CMRPC. Apparently not.
Nothing.
And that makes it,
It's actually 7:30 now.
4 seconds past. Okay. We'll move on to the special permit and site plan review for 88 and 22, Durham Lane. We have a,
Okay. Pursuant to sections 1.5.7 and 1.3.3 of the Town of Grafton zoning bylaws, the planning board will hold a public hearing on Monday, September 8th, 2025, commencing at 7:30 p.m. in conference room A of the Grafton Memorial Municipal Center, 30 Providence Road, to consider the application for a special permit and site plan approval for a contractor's yard, independent storage, and truck terminal, truck freight yard in connection with the operation of a moving and storage company to be located at 18 and 22 Donahue Lane, shown on Grafton Assessor's Map 26, lots 1 and 2.a. Said property is located in an office light industrial OLI zoning district. The applicant is Mark's Moving and Storage, Inc., and the owner is 18 and 22 Donahue Lane, LLC. A copy of the application plan is available for public inspection at the planning department during regular business hours or on the Town of Grafton website at www.grafton-ma.gov on the Planning Department and Development Project webpage.
Okay. All right. So, I am just going to do my regular spiel quickly and then turn over to Matt and Mark. So, as Greg just announced, special permit site plan approval application for contractor's yard, truck terminal / freight yard, and independent storage area. This request included those 3 uses to cover the full scope of this moving and storage operation. There's elements of basically all 3, although they will be, significantly less intensive than what has been seen on this site. It'll be mainly storage of moving pods that will basically be used. These 2 properties will be used as a satellite facility to the applicant's primary workplace in Westboro. So essentially, they will, because they are not proposing any changes to the site, they have submitted with their application a previously approved site plan by the board. That plan, as you might have seen, has the same area for where storage will occur. The berm will remain in place, and there's really no changes at all. Through my review, I didn't do a comprehensive zoning review in my memo this time around because the applicant is requesting, submitting a site plan that was approved, is requesting waivers, and is reapplying for a very similar use that was previously on the site. I did meet with the applicant several times prior to filing, as did the building commissioner, fire chief, and associated staff at development team meeting, where we went through, the history, the prior permit and its conditions, and we had a conversation about that, which I will let Matt speak to. And I think the biggest takeaway is that this is obviously a complex site surrounded by residences, zoned OLI. So we're trying to, make sure that we come to, have a good dialogue with the board and kind of just make sure that we're finding solutions to make sure that everybody is comfortable with this. The applicant, because they are requesting, they are not doing any change to the site. They did request a fee waiver from peer review, so that is something that the board will need to vote on separately, deliberate and vote on separately, that is uploaded into the record. And other than that, I don't have much. If the board has any questions for me before I turn it over to the applicant, I'm happy to answer those questions.
Okay, my question will come a little later. Introduce yourselves and tell us what you want to tell us.
Great. Well, it's good to see everyone again. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Attorney Matt Eckel with Fletcher Tilton on behalf of the applicant. With me this evening is Mr. Mark Silverman. Ms. Coughlin did a great job kind of outlining a lot of my spiel, so I'll keep it brief. And I know we have some abutters here this evening who I'm guessing would like to be heard as well. But in a nutshell, Mr. Silverman owns and operates a moving and storage company. He currently operates in Westboro. That is the primary site. That will remain the primary site. What we're proposing is special permits to allow him to utilize 18 and 22 Donahue Lane for essentially kind of overflow storage of tractors and trailers, some trucks, and predominantly pods, both empty and filled as part of his storage business. Currently, Mr. Silverman does not yet own the property. If granted the approvals, the next step would be to, I know that was one of the questions, I believe in the memo, was to move forward and actually purchase the property if granted the relief we're requesting. I'm going to pause briefly and let Mark introduce himself and a little bit of background on his business, and then I'll take it back over.
Good evening. My name is Mark Silverman. I've owned Mark's Moving and Storage. I'm in my 47th year of business. I started the company with money I borrowed from a credit card. I know what it takes to run a responsible business and to take into consideration my neighbors. We've been in Westboro for 20 years, 2005 to 2025. We are also in a residential neighborhood in Westboro. We have a 4.35 acre site there. We have residential homes on both sides of us and across the street. And I think if you were to check, you would find that there have either been no complaints or very few, and if there were any, they were addressed. I am aware of many of the concerns of the neighbors, and from what I've learned about what takes place on the site currently, I think my operation would be a dream. This is a satellite site for us. So I would have trucks there, I would have trailers there. There will be many days you won't see me, you won't see my men. It'll be quiet. You'll hear the crickets. There'll be nobody there because this is not where people are reporting every day. We have almost 100,000 feet in Westboro and a couple acres of parking. This is just for trailers that I don't use every day. It's for things that I don't need every day. Could there be a week where I need a bunch of the equipment? Sure, but it's a satellite operation, and I am very considerate. And in fact, when I first came in here, what I tried to make clear to Fiona was, I think it's a very appropriate use for that site, and I hope to get the support of the neighbors to agree that in fact it is a good use.
Great. Thanks, Mark. So very briefly, I know most of the board was around the last go around, and certainly the abutters are familiar with the site, but the site overall is just over approximately 8 acres. It is office light industrial zoning. However, there are several residential buildings also in that office light industrial zone as you go down Donahue Lane, and then it is a residential district over on kind of up behind the site to Hollywood Drive. The main access and really only access is down Donahue Lane. This is a historical access and will continue to be the primary access. In the last go around, we did amend a previous special permit which had some conditions. We are certainly very open to maintaining those conditions, including keeping the turnaround, keeping the berm, keeping all the natural vegetation, which has provided a natural buffer, outside of the need to take down a tree for safety's sake, or if it's dead, we have no plans to change or alter the site at all. The use, as Mark said, it is a satellite location. However, we did apply for the 3 special permits after consulting with Ms. Coughlin and the building commissioner, just to make sure that it was clear what was proposed at this site and that we wouldn't have to come back in 6 months and modify again. So that's the justification and the reason for the request to ask for the contractor's yard, the independent storage, as well as the trucking terminal and freight yard, which I believe in this case the bark there is bigger than the bite. It's really just to make sure that we can have Mark's equipment there. This is not going to be obviously a hub for all different types of companies coming and going. This is just specific to this site. And I know truck terminal sounds scarier maybe than it is, especially in this situation. With that being said, we do want to contemplate all activities that would be typical to a moving and storage company, such as parking the equipment there, such as keeping empty, we'll call them pods there, and also keeping pods that are filled, whether it's people's private belongings, a restaurant that puts away their patio furniture for the season, or the like. And in those situations, obviously, as Mark mentioned, there'll be very little to no activity if someone's putting away their patio furniture for the season. They're probably not coming back for 6 months, and Mark won't be delivering it for 6 months. So it's much less intensive than what's there now. I believe the current special permit on file contemplates about 20 to 25 commercial trips, and then another 20 to 25 employee trips coming and going. As mentioned, we don't have a specific number because some days there could be 3 or 4, and then 3 or 4 days in a row could be 0. But overall, we think it's going to be a much less intensive use. We are proposing 7 to 5 hours of operation Monday through Friday and 7 to noon on Saturday. I believe the last special permit on record is till 3 o'clock. So we're proposing to shut down Saturday hours a little bit sooner than what's currently on record. We don't really anticipate many exceptions or needs for emergencies, but obviously if there's a one-off here or there, we would hope to have a little bit of latitude to access the site if and when necessary, but we really don't anticipate that happening much. We did in our memo mention one full-time employee. That really isn't going to happen. It's going to be, the site's going to be accessed when it needs to be accessed. It's not going to be someone there, obviously 24/7 or even the full hours of operation. As mentioned, there'll be days there'll be no one there. So we put that in there just to build in a little latitude if someone needed to be there more often than not. But for the most part, it's going to be unoccupied by personnel. As mentioned, the circulation will stay the same coming down Donahue Lane. But then, the frequency of accessing the site will go way down. As mentioned also, we're keeping all the site improvements as previously agreed to or implemented. The one condition that we'd like to certainly discuss further, because this is a new application and it contemplates such infrequent trips, is there was a condition for ongoing road maintenance for the current use. Donahue Lane is a private way, and we don't anticipate continuing that condition where there's going to be such infrequent use of Donahue Lane itself. So we would certainly seek that not be a specific condition. Otherwise, that might not end up working for this use and this user. We will have security cameras for surveillance. I know, I think Mr. Fairbanks, who is here, had a few questions related to security. So we will have cameras. We will continue to provide the turnaround for trash vehicles, emergency vehicles, deliveries as previously agreed to and contemplated. And again, don't want to sound like a broken record, but much less use of this property on a day-to-day level. So overall, we think all 3 special permits do fit within the criteria. I'm happy to go into the different special permit criteria further if necessary. But since we're all so familiar with the site, I believe I would love to stop there and take any questions or comments the board may have, and then obviously hear from some of our abutters.
My first question is maybe for Fiona. If there are 2 special permits on the same property, how do they interact? It bothers me that, because this is almost closer to an amendment of the existing permit, and then I'd know what applied. With 2 different permits, do the conditions in both of them apply? I don't know. I'm concerned. We got a letter, as you've probably seen, from Wyman Gordon asking for their right-of-way all the way through, the gate being removed. What's the status of the gate?
I was there today. The gate, there's no gate there.
Okay, well, I thought they were saying it needed to be taken down, but then I read it again and I thought maybe it said they want the new decision to be sure to say no gate.
If they were talking about the gate at the entrance, there's nothing there now. If they're talking about anything, deep into their site, like at the very far end, I haven't been down there, so I don't stand there. But
Because I think the idea is that they apparently have a right-of-way. Don't know how they got it or what it's all about, but I think the idea is that they can get through and get to their property that's at the, beyond your fence. So I would think that you need to have that be open also for them.
And Mr. Chairman, we have every intention of not installing any gates. There was also a question about security. That's why we were talking about cameras rather than putting up a physical barrier, because we saw that letter and we would certainly honor their access through the right of way.
This is replacing the current business with a new business, not adding another business in there at the same time.
That is correct. One of the uses still would be contractor's yard, but it's not at all connected to what's been there in the past.
I'm concerned about whether, see, if you've got contractor's yard too, that, seems to me maybe that condition or that use should come out, because you're talking about not doing a traffic study, not dealing with the road and so on, but it's still got a permit to be what required those things. So I'm, you know, I have problems with that. Board members.
Yeah, so I'll take my thoughts kind of, might be a little sporadic, but it's gonna bear with me here. The fee waiver, I don't know what I don't know, and that's usually what we rely on engineers for. So for the peer review, that said, if all your assertions are accurate on this being, you know, less of a use and everything else like that, I don't know what a peer review would tell us differently. They're really, you know, somewhat my current assumptions are, but they're still assumptions. And you know, that said, too, one thing I'd be interested in, along with, you know, if we're going to, you know, waive the, you know, traffic study, waive, you know, a full peer review in any way, is what sorts of conditions would we have to enact on the use that you're applying for to make that make sense? Like the business that is before us is said to be less of a use. You know, if you have to keep the contractor's yard, keep the other things, but then this business gets sold under the same special permit. Now a new business might be going back into their larger use that does impact the road, does impact these other things. And so what conditions do we need to make to restrict the use to what you're describing without impacting this business? That's a kind of a question that's in my head floating around a bit here. And then the other question that I have in my head right now is when it comes to what is in the pods, when customers, you know, fill a pod and it goes to your storage location, how do you ensure that nothing that is in there is detrimental to the environment? Like, for example, if someone's trying to store propane or gasoline in a pod, or an asbestos-filled couch, or, you know, wall shingles or something.
The intention is not to run it as a self-storage facility. So it's not to hand somebody, say, you're in unit number 3,
Yep.
go put your own things in. It would be me moving things in to those units and me moving things out with very few exceptions. So there's no unsupervised loading and unloading.
So you know everything that's in the pod that goes into the site is, you know, you or your employees. Is that what I mean?
I would be comfortable saying that anything that I either know about it or even a step further, in most cases, it's inventoried. We perform as a public warehouseman at our current location. And as a public warehouseman, we're inventorying every item that comes in and out. So the answer is, you know, I am comfortable that I'd be comfortable agreeing that we would not allow self-storage where people are putting their own things in and out.
Okay.
But would you also agree that you will be sure, you can assure us that nothing that could be a problem will be put in? In other words, now it's your job to monitor what's being
So
loaded.
I can almost promise that. In other words, if we take a box, for example, from somebody's home that is what we call packed by owner, they're agreeing, they're telling us, they're signing something saying there's nothing hazardous in there.
Okay.
But we're not opening every box to double check that. So I understand that it's a very supervised operation, you know, where we don't want to carry liquids in our trucks. We don't want to carry anything that's flammable, explosive, and so forth. So, no, I could never guarantee that, but I could I can come very close to guaranteeing.
Yeah, well, you could guarantee that you'll have paperwork shifting that responsibility to the person who's giving the material to you. No, that they have signed.
Yes, even better than that, we'll have eyes on it. So not only will we have something signed, but we will have made a very aggressive attempt to be certain, because we don't want something to have a problem either.
I don't know how to put the eyes on, though, in the permit, and I do understand how, if you promise that you have documentation for everything that you bring in,
That's totally reasonable, and we could agree to that, yes.
Just to follow up on the use, and I agree, it's an interesting dilemma or situation, whatever you want to call it. At one point, we were in the mindset of just applying for independent storage because there is not your traditional private storage company in the bylaw. So in working with the building commissioner and describing the pods and describing the truck or the trailers, that's kind of how we got to all three. This is certainly not any kind of end around to keep the business there going or bring in a new contractor. So whether there's, limitations on the special permit to not have a secondary use, I'm not sure how we'd get there exactly, but we really just followed the building commissioner's direction because we didn't want anything. We're upfront, we're saying what we're going to do there, and we want to make sure that's covered under some umbrella.
And to be clear, I am making the assumption that you're coming at, what's the word I'm looking for? Basically full honesty. And, but when we evaluate it, as I said, we need to evaluate the use, as well, because that does make or break this, because we approved this, and then, like I said, someone else could come in 5 years with the same permit that we already approved, and we don't get another look at it, but they can do whatever the permit says they can do.
Sure. Yeah. And we tried to be very clear in our memo to the board, all operations, normal course of business for a moving and storage company. Yeah. So obviously compared with a landscaping company or something, we tried to draw a line with some specificity there.
Well, if no one else has anything, I've got a couple of questions
Dave,
here.
I'll go after you.
Yes, again, this question sort of goes back to the previous uses of this land. I mean, basically, the previous usage is as a contractor's yard, which sort of ties into that. When you think of a contractor's yard, you often you may think of storage of construction materials, processing of construction materials. That's been a topic of discussion in the past with respect to this property. Construction type vehicles, loaders, dump trucks, that type of thing. What you're proposing is none of that. So, it kind of goes back to a couple of other points of discussion here, is to make sure that if contractor's yard ultimately is included in its use, that that it's well understood what that includes and what it does not include. And I think it seems pretty clear from what you said that you're not proposing anything like what we've previously talked about in terms of a contractor's yard here. The pods, I think you kind of touched on that, but I just want to make sure we're clear that you are bringing pods in and taking them out. No, on this site there will not be any activity involved with loading or unloading the pods.
No, there could be activity of loading and unloading the pods on the site.
The contents of the pods? Or
There could be both. In other words, it could be that a pod went to somebody's home or business and was filled and then came back. It could be that we're putting things on our truck, taking them off the truck and putting them into it. Yeah. We have to call these mods. It's Mark's on-demand storage, mods.
Yeah.
Gotta get rid of this pods.
Sure.
But so yes, I could be loading and unloading on the site.
Right, you're bringing loaded pods in, you're taking loaded pods out, but on the site, is stuff being put into the pods on site?
Yes, that could occur also. That would be one of the normal activities of my moving and storage company. I might go to a home in Grafton and pick up that patio furniture and then drive there and put those items into that mod.
Okay. So that's one thing I wasn't clear about, is how much of that kind of activity.
Not a lot, but it will occur.
I mean, it's sort of qualitatively different from just bringing the pod in, depositing the pod there, storing it there, and then taking it away again, but doing the actual filling of the pod or emptying of the pod somewhere else. But
It's not gonna be a daily activity, may not even be a
but it-
weekly activity, but
Right,
yes.
so,
that could
yeah, so
occur.
that could happen there.
Yes, absolutely.
And always you and your employees, so to speak, doing that loading, unloading on site. It wouldn't ever be a customer.
So again, I'm trying to be brutally honest.
Yep.
And I would say 99.999% of the time, might on a given occasion, I tell somebody, you can go there and grab your patio table. Yeah, I might, but that's not how we operate because we are in control and custody of these goods. And so I need signatures.
Who's got the key? Who's got the key to the pod?
So again, in 99, like
Oh.
it's not 100%, but it's probably 99.9%.
But you're basically in control of it at all times.
Yes,
That,
yes.
that if a customer is gonna go there themselves, you're gonna be on site supervising that.
So I 99.99% of the time. There's always gonna be an exception, but the way that the operation operates is that there's a Mark's Moving and Storage employee involved in the transaction. Present.
Yep. My last question is, there's a couple of existing buildings on the site.
Just one. It's a
Just
40-foot by 60-foot garage type building, has electricity in it, but that's it.
And that will be, you'll be using that to whatever extent is,
Maybe that's where the patio furniture will go. Yes, we'll use it for something. I don't know exactly what, but
yeah, because I looked at the plan. The plan looks like it shows the outline of two existing buildings. But one of those may have been gone by now.
There's one on the left, which remains. The one on the right, I think, was marked in the plan as to be raised and has been.
Yeah, that has happened.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I recall in the previous permits, there was discussion of the fate of that building, and I don't remember whether it actually happened.
Yes. Yep. It's gone.
That's all I have.
Yeah, my question goes back to the gates. I just want to get some clarity on that and just make sure that, because two different abutters, Wyman Gordon and another owner, brought up the gates. So I was concerned about that component and want to make sure that once we get clarification, I'm sure the abutters are going to tell us about that in a little bit. So I want to make sure, if in fact there is a gate that you're not aware of, that's on your property, or on your new property. that
I
would
don't
be
need
willing to
any
take.
gates. So the current owner sent me a picture like 4 o'clock today that showed there was no gate there. But regardless, if there's a gate there and I were to purchase a property, I'm fine removing the gate. I don't need the gates for anything. I'll have surveillance
That's where my question
cameras.
was headed. Thank you. And then the other part is, I understand you're going to be utilizing this road for your business if you purchase it. Why would you want the waiver to be taken out about the since it's a private way about the maintenance of those roads? Do you think it's going to be that expensive to maintain them?
I don't think it would be fair to be my responsibility. I'm fine having a proportionate responsibility. If there are 7 homes on the street and 8 of us are responsible for it collectively, I'm fine with that. I want to be responsible for my share, but no, I would not want to be responsible solely for the street because my use isn't going to impact the street any more than the garbage trucks going down there every week.
Except that there's more traffic than if you weren't there.
And agreed, and that's why I would be fine with being 1/8 responsible for the street, but not solely.
Okay, back to my two special permits. I had kind of thinking 2 different ways. One is there a way to give up the old one so that only a new one would apply to the property? If not, then can we do this so that in this permit, only as long as this use is the only one,
By this owner.
the responsibility can be shared the way you say. If it goes back to the the other use, or, a more intense use, like contractor's yard, the old permit still has the requirement to take care of the road.
Think we're certainly amenable to that. When you earlier said 2 special permits, I thought you meant the 3 that we're actually asking for altogether, not the one that was existing, so I understand now. We would be happy to have language in there, whether it reverts back or whether this is the controlling special permit now, under these conditions, however the board
possible?
sees fit.
Is that possible to say this is the controlling permit?
Yes, we can include language that covers that it runs, with the applicant and the owner, and should they, a new buyer or a new tenant, subleasing, whatever, that condition
They
changes.
have to come back.
They have to come, right, yeah, come back and.
That's important.
Okay.
Yeah, I would think, town council could advise us on how best to structure this so that this special permit is the only one that's operating now. That, something different, it could revert, because it's an interesting question when you've issued multiple special permits for the same property but different uses, how do those interact?
Right.
Okay, anybody else here? Cause
I just think we need to make sure we're referring to it properly, because as Matt has said, there are 3 permits that they're asking for on the property going forward, right?
3 uses.
There's 3 uses identified under the
Right.
one blanket.
One special
Yeah.
permit, 3 uses.
Great.
Yes.
Okay.
They're all specially permitted uses, so they all go together. But yeah, the one decision would control and acknowledge all 3.
Great.
okay. People who want to comment.
Good evening, John Renzoni, 7 Jordan Terrace. Something that I hadn't thought about, but now that you have brought it up, special permit. We're gonna override the special permit that we did less than a year ago, but we're still gonna allow them to run a possible contractor's yard under the new permit.
No. That's what I was just trying to,
Yeah, you kinda lost me then.
well, you were not the only one.
Right, because a contractor's yard, according to the town, is for storage of equipment, supplies, materials, and parking of wheeled equipment, which basically sounds like what they want to do. So why wouldn't we just leave it as a contractor's yard?
Because they want a permit. I think,
They want a permit for, excuse me, Bob, but didn't mean to interrupt, but for a trucking terminal, truck freight yard, or a freight terminal. Can the board give me the town's definition of what that is in the bylaws?
for which one?
Truck terminal, truck freight yard, or freight terminal? Under principal uses, communication, transportation, public utilities, number 4. What is allowed and what isn't allowed?
So while Fiona looks that up, the only comment I'll make is that despite the uses that are listed, we can do conditions that further limit those uses beyond what the general definition says. So we could say, like for contractor's yard, you cannot have a backhoe, or you can only use these types of.
Right, I understand that, but what's the definition for the,
There's no
I don't believe
specific
it is specifically
definition.
defined.
It's not defined specifically in the zoning. bylaw.
so it could be whatever they decide a truck terminal is gonna be? Because I looked online and there's a bunch of different definitions between anywhere between, like Mark said, possibly some transferring between trucks or repair of vehicles,
But you're talking about truck terminal?
which is what they're applying for.
It is one of their uses.
Well, I think we have to find language that limits us to what,
Right, but they don't have a definition in the town bylaws as to what that is.
that we can put in the decision.
And that's why, through the chair, that's why we wanted to be upfront with what we're doing, and we're fine with conditions. The kind of operative phrase here is operations typical to a moving and storage company.
Right.
We do not want, again, the bark's worse than the bite when it comes to trucking terminal. We're fine working with the board to put in language somewhere, revolving around normal course of business for a moving and storage business. We have to get there. Obviously, we're hamstrung by the lack of the definition as well, and we took great effort to try to put everything here on the table and working with Fiona as well as the building commissioner and explaining our operations and trying to fit it into one definition. But because the contractor's yard talks about equipment or wheeled vehicles, the independent storage, that kind of goes without saying, it's storage, and then the truck terminal is really just for the storage of the trucks. So that's how we ended up where we were, and we're happy to work with you and the board on how to shape this so that it covers everyone.
Right, and I understand that. It's just you have to understand too. We've been through this quite a bit in the past, and sometimes what is said and what actually happens ended up being two different things, and we just don't want to go through this again. Like I said, it's been less than a year, and we're back here again.
Well,
so like I said, that my question again was, would we just? I would feel more comfortable modifying the existing special permit instead of issuing another special permit. Like you said, they're gonna overlap.
they and council are gonna figure that one out. But we're gonna work on language that does narrow it down to the desired use. And you'll have a chance, if you're following along with us, you'll have a chance to see that language as we go along and interact with it, with us.
All right, yeah, and the other question's already been answered, is the applicant apparently plans on purchasing the property if the special permit goes through, which I know Fiona had brought that up in her planning department memorandum. She had a question on that. But now this special permit's under a different owner's name versus who the actual owner of the property is.
No.
We're able to still issue a permit? Okay.
Permits run with the owner, and their applicants can be different. The owner just has to kind of say, yeah, it's fine.
Okay, I just wasn't sure if like Mike had to apply for the permit and then it just went with the property.
Now, this is not uncommon for situations where the applicant and the owner are different parties, and the property may pass from one owner to the other. Sometimes the current owner, the applicant becomes the current owner, but the language of the decision is always written so that the permit passes on to the appropriate people.
Right?
Except when we say no.
Yeah, we can
like
say
in
that.
accessory apartments used to be.
Right. And I know Mark already mentioned they were going to do security cameras, so there's going to be no intention in the future of it doing any fencing or any increasing of the area of parking that would involve removing of the berm, cutting of trees.
No, they've said they're not gonna do those things.
Will that be in the permit that will not be allowed?
We will
I
have-
mean, are we gonna be back here after a year and a half going through this again? That's,
The approval will be for whatever parking is on the plan,
okay.
and anything outside of that would need to come back for review and approval.
All right. And in respect to security, do you plan on doing anything in respect to increasing illumination down on the site?
Don't have any immediate plans to it, and if we did any type of security lights, it would just be whatever, the town, allows us to do.
So that would have to come back before the planning board again?
There's a little leeway they have, but it wouldn't. There's no way it could impact other properties without it coming back to us, in my understanding.
Well, someone's gonna determine that, but I would say that would be a site plan review. How that plays out, someone's gotta realize that putting up lights requires doing something, cause I don't know that you even, well, maybe the electrical inspector finds out that the lights are going up.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Chair, so there's some considerations having lighted entrances and exits, that type of thing, but the board can make sure that they cover the base of minimizing glare. If lights are installed, that they're hooded, shielded downward, and have all of the kind of associated standard protections that you typically require, and making sure that there's no glare and nuisance lighting.
Yeah, I mean, the
Flooding of
way
the
the
property.
property's set up now, I don't think it would be a problem. I'm just concerned, you know, with, if it's something large scale goes, you know, we got Fenway Park over there. But,
Okay.
yeah, and I think that pretty much, you said, pretty much just for storage of pods, trailers, occasional trucks. My only other concern, similar to what Bob had, is, you know, the maintenance of the road. I mean, I don't live on the road, but I could see where it would be an issue for the homeowners. Could be increased truck traffic. It was already on the initial special permit, and that was kind of where I was hoping that the additional wording could just be put onto the old special permit so that the homeowners down there wouldn't bear the burden of the excessive truck traffic possibly damaging their roads. But that was my only other concern. But other than that, it seems like what he plans on doing isn't gonna be any more intrusive than what's down there now. I know there's concerns with the right of way, and just for the record, as of last Friday, there was still a gate down there.
Where is the
gate.
gate specifically, please?
Right at the entrance to his property. Right at the entrance. I don't know if it's been taken down since, but I know last Friday it was still there. It wasn't closed, but it was still there, and according to the special permit issued last year, he had 30 days to take it down.
Did anyone bring that to the town's?
I never went back down there,
Ah.
but I would assume the town should have some burden of checking that the
Wait,
permits are
it-
being,
I'm not sure that we have an army to keep sending out every week to look.
well,
at
I
every
mean, it's a
permit that's ever
special
been
permit
issued.
that he's supposed to be,
What's supposed to happen is someone doesn't like it and they complain.
well,
to hear.
I think according to the way it's written, within 30 days, he was supposed to notify the town that the permit was, all the, everything within the permit was attended to. And so whether or not he ever let you guys know that he had taken it, not, he kept the gate open from everything I hear, but I'm just, as a point, you know, the gate wasn't taken down, and it was supposed to be by the issuance of the special permit last year. But I
We
mean,
pretty
it's,
well understand
Right.
about that.
all right, thank you.
Okay?
Well, just add, I did speak to Mike a few times about that gate.
You spoke to.
I spoke to Mike about the gate, following up on the permit. You know, I just didn't want, you know, folks to think that I wasn't following up or ignoring them or by any means, but, yeah, just wanted to make that clear.
Okay, excuse me. Bill Fairbanks, 4 Dunhill Lane. Some of it, maybe I'm going to be redundant in what you're all talking about, so excuse me if it is. But I had some questions and maybe some answers. I wanted to know who's going to maintain the turnaround for the rubbish trucks. All right, as far as the road is concerned, or the lane, the town is plowing it in the wintertime. But the turnaround is up to the owner of the property. Because last year it wasn't maintained. The trucks couldn't turn around in it. They had to back into somebody else's property or back up the street, which shouldn't be. So it'd be up to a new owner, as far as I can tell.
I would think it would be between the town's interaction with the garbage collection people and the property owners, about that. In other words,
They may be so, but I'm going on record saying that it's on their property, so
you know,
what's on my property, I have to maintain it. What's on their property, they should have to maintain it.
So I'd just like to say on that, please, that you just sort of like the right of way that Wyman Gordon has, that right of way will always be clear, but I won't be plowing that right of way for them, you know, down deep into wherever it goes. They can, it's their right of way, they can do what they want. If there's a 100-foot diameter circle that the garbage trucks need to, I will maintain it in its current condition. But again, I don't want to be responsible for, you know, making sure that garbage trucks have exactly the space that they need. You know, if other people than me are going to be using it, then I shouldn't be responsible.
Well, the not to interrupt you, but it was really set up for the rubbish trucks to be able to turn because it's illegal to back onto Worcester Street, which is what some of them were doing. So it was agreed upon, and it was in the last meeting, it was approved that a turnaround would be made there. One of my suggestions would be to put a sign there that it's a turnaround for the trucks, so they'll know where to turn. I was there Friday. I took a video of the area. Unfortunately, it's on my phone and I can't transport it anywhere. But I couldn't tell where the turnaround was anymore. Now, I know you don't own the property, but Mike has stuff covering it up. And he's got to move it if you're going to have a turnaround there. It wasn't right. He's got Jersey barriers there. He's got aluminum drums there. A number of different things there. And like I said, I do have it on my phone, and I could show it if anybody wants to see it.
But so these things that you're talking about, the drums, the barriers, are they on the proposed property?
Correct.
That, Mark is.
They weren't there when we first started doing the turnaround.
Is it part of the lot that he'd be purchasing?
Correct.
Then why
it's-
wouldn't he maintain that if he bought that piece?
I think you've already brought it up, but as far as you can't have a gate up there. Friday, also my video, there was a half gate still there. Saturday, I walked down there, and there still was a gate there. So if the gate's not there anymore, somebody came down Sunday and took it out of there. But other than that, it was there as of Saturday.
How are the garbage trucks being taken
It's
care of?
not always open, but if somebody decides to open or close it,
Yeah, no, but and it's
oh, how are they going
on,
to?
on in and turning.
They're going to turn around in the driveway or I don't know if you want to call it driveway, but Dunhill Lane, they're just turning around there, not going through the turnaround.
I
They
thought
can't go through the turnaround
I
because it's,
thought Donahue Lane was too narrow for them.
no,
to
they
turn.
can can you do a U-turn? In your car? They do the same thing. They go down, do a U-turn, come back up.
3-point turn. Or
Maybe for the truck, it has to be a
5-point
three-point
or
turn,
7-point turn.
but there's nothing in the way.
Well,
In the middle of the yard, there's nothing in the way.
the idea was that the trucks were supposed to be able to go in and have a 100-foot circle
Correct.
to turn. Is that happening?
That's what I said. It's not. It was covered as of Friday. And I know the trucks. I don't know the drivers themselves, but I know that the trucks, they went to the middle of the yard to do their turnaround instead because they couldn't do the turnarounds with Jersey barriers in the way and other debris in the way. It has to be cleared out. In any case, Bob, it has to be cleaned out. The gate was the reason why the gate, because Dunhill is only a right-of-way. And according to laws, the right-of-way has to be accessible all the way to the Wyman Gordon's property. Okay.
Well, no.
But I know
it has to be
When
not
McClure,
blocked.
when McClure first went in there, he gave Wyman Gordon's a hard time and they wouldn't go in there. They had to go down to their property. And he didn't want them to go down there. Because he was blocking it up. It became unblocked. I'm just letting any new owners know it can't be blocked.
Yeah, I think that is more or less what was in the
And-
Wyman Gordon letter, wasn't it?
Pardon?
I think that was what was in Wyman Gordon's lawyer's letter.
Right. I said I could be
They want
redundant on some of the things. I'm just trying to bring up
Yeah.
my notes.
Yeah.
Again, I know that it was brought up about security. And pods are very easy to be moved. And I don't know what kind of lighting you're going to use down there, if you are going to use lighting. But it is dark down there, so easy for anybody to drive down there and try to break into these pods, knowing full well what pods are used for. And as far as the luminance of a light, and if everybody knows where Verizon is, well, in the fall, their security lights in the building shine into my house. Believe it or not. And if you come up Dunhill Lane at nighttime, the car dealer across the street, one of his lights shines right down there, so you get it right in your face when you're driving out to 122. I asked the previous owner of it, and he didn't do much with it. So that would be a plan for maybe looking into what kind of lighting you can use. I don't really know.
Well, if there's
But
no lighting shown
You
on
have to remember that whatever lighting is on there not only affects you, it affects the people on the street.
only the lighting that's shown on the plan is being allowed. If they want to change the lighting, they need to talk to the town.
Well, I was just looking out also for them, you know, what kind of security are they gonna have?
That's their
Cameras.
problem.
As far as the security, we plan on having cameras. I'm fine putting up fences, but it sounds like we don't want that people don't want fences.
Right.
So if you're not gonna have gates or fences, then my only alternative would be video surveillance, and that's how I would deal with it.
I don't see any problem with surveillance cameras. They have one now. It was already brought up by John about what is a truck terminal?
I think
Yep.
we're
And as far as the building that is on the property, the last time I knew, there was no power to it and no water to it.
they said there were two buildings.
There's only one building now, and it's already been discussed, and it's already been approved that there was one building there. And that's a cinder block building that's down near the end, or if you're facing the berm, it'd be to the left. Right? Power lines do not go all the way down there unless they're using generator, and their water does not go down there, so there's no water to the access. So whatever you put in there, there's no fire protection.
So he sent me I asked that question after reading your letter, and he sent me a picture of an electric meter on that building. So
I don't see any wires going to it, that's why.
I don't know that. I'm just saying, I
Yep.
asked the question. You're correct. He said there's no
I did-
plumbing in that.
It could be, but the wire looks to me, it's invisible, because there's no pole down there either.
Any chance that it's underground?
It's a possibility.
It's gotta be.
I'd like that if I had what was
I would
what
too.
was on there. I don't wanna be running into the wires.
I gotta tell you something funny. Is my neighbor right next door to me, he put a stick in the ground, he says, because they have yellow jackets in the ground. I said, okay. Following day, I'm out cutting around the telephone pole, and there's yellow jackets coming out of the ground. So I said to him, he says, I did you one better, I used a telephone pole instead of a stick.
Okay.
But yeah, yellow jackets, when there's little water around, they do go in there. And we already know about the storage, but you do have to remember that you gotta be within 100 feet, no more than 100 feet. Because my understanding, I think you might be able to remember that, part of that was covered in. Conservation said they didn't know that.
Through the chair, the 100 in the jurisdictional
They
area.
they can't go past 100 feet to the wetland.
So we did circulate this for comment to the Conservation Commission, and I followed up with them again today, and they did not. This is not falling within their jurisdiction. So, but it's a good point.
And then the last thing, I just made a note today, how high would a trailer be to going down there? Because you got wires that are hanging low.
Trailers, I believe, are a maximum of 12 feet 6 inches, I think.
They may be too tall for some of the wires.
So I asked the same question to the current owner, and he claims that, his trucks.
He has never had a truck that tall,
Okay,
not that I've seen. And I lived on that street since '71, longer than you know, Bob.
Well, that's between whoever is in charge of the wires.
Well, the thing is, it would pull down the wires for the whole street. Or it could, because some of them are just, I believe it, isn't it, have to be within 10 feet? or 11 feet, somewhere around there, for a trailer to get underneath?
I think the wires are supposed to be at least 13 feet high, and
I don't
or I
know.
would have a close on the property.
Yeah, you may have
Very
to-
valid concern.
I would check it,
And I
because otherwise-
appreciate the reminder. I'm with you.
And
Okay,
you know, my understanding on that as well is if Mark, is you the applicant, check that and you say, yeah, it's good, and then your trucks are too tall still, my understanding is you as a business and or the truck driver would have the financial responsibility of the problem that could be caused from hitting a wire.
A few years ago, it happened to a Harvey truck. It went down,
Yeah.
came back, and took out the wire to number 10 Dunhill Lane, pulled it right off the house wall. So the road is not level. It's beveled on one side, or to one side. So
maybe
it's
the
something-
truck
something to look at.
weighed less when it went in than when it came out.
It went in on the lower side, came back on
Or
the
the other way,
other way around, rather.
yeah,
Went in the side that he could make it, didn't realize it came back.
well, I think that's a little beyond our,
It's up to,
and you understand about trucks and heights and wires.
I understand very well. It's a very valid point, and that is something I would need to address before I would have a close on the properties.
okay,
Thank you.
that's it, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Who else?
Hi, my name's Steve Airy, 13 Hollywood Drive. I really just want to say no matter what the decision is, I'm hopeful that the owner, whether it's you or if it doesn't go into your hands, would follow through on an agreed upon permit, and that the town would follow through in resolving abutter concerns. A big part of why I'm here each time is when I had written a letter or called the town, things weren't enforced. It doesn't mean it wasn't from you guys, but all the way through it needs to be seen. The fact that many people hadn't been down to the site since last year is concerning to me, to make sure that what we fought through for many, many meetings wasn't even really enforced. And that the previous owner, unfortunately, really didn't do what he was going to say he was going to do, so that's why we're here. And I did look your reviews up, and it looks like you're a well-established company, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And I would be hopeful that you follow through on what you're saying. So I'm just hopeful that will happen. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, Paul Fontana, 8 Donny Lane. Mark, I've had some conversations with you about seeing you on the road. I know you have a Harley Davidson and I have one too. All of these questions that we're talking about, like the previous owner and, what they did and what they're supposed to do. I don't think we need to tell the board how to run their board, okay? So, I know that I'm in a butter and other people here are butters that come up here to complain about it. Well, it's been going on for years, and what are we trying to say? We're here to say what we want to tell this guy, not to tell you guys how to do your job. I was down there the other day, and because the current owner still owns the property, and I was talking with him, and he's gonna move all that stuff. All the fence and the pile of concrete and all that. But they haven't bought it yet. So he's gonna do it, but give the guy a break, I just don't understand all this about years and years and trying to tell you how to, it wasn't enforced and this and that. Well, that's got nothing to do with Mark, And so anyhow, I think that you got a business. It sounds like you got a successful business. I talked to you. It's going to bring in less traffic and all this, but the fact about are you going to have lights shining in the neighbor's yard? It's not very that relevant to what Mark's trying to sit here and do. I got spotlights in my yard because that's Coyote Central down there, and I have them on solar lights and I have them on sensor lights that are powered by electricity. And that building at the end does have electricity in it. So somebody pays like I said, somebody pays the meter bill or call the electric company. And as far as plowing for the Harvey truck to turn around, well, if he can't do it, have him turn around in my driveway. I'm number 8. You know, that's not what Mark is here for. He's applying for a permit to do this special application versus the one in the back and the new one and the old owner and all that. So I don't know, Mark. I support Mike McCura in his business because I watched it grow. He started with a small business and he worked hard and created a much larger company with all this new equipment and stuff. And he was everybody's best friend when he decided to pave our road. And he paved that road because people wouldn't even come down our street because they had ponds in the dirt, gravel, and all that. And like you guys say, you guys go out and do site surveys. Well, I was down there the other day, and I went down to get some dirt in a couple of 5-gallon buckets. And Wyman Gordon's was there in their black Suburban, and I thought it was your truck or one of Mike's trucks. So I went down to him, and I pulled up to him, and they said, "Hi." I said, "Hi." I said, "There was just a pile of loom here the other day. Where'd it go?" And he goes, "Oh, we got nothing to do with that. We're Wyman Gordon's." I said, "Oh, okay, no worries then." And I said, "I know the owner anyways. He said I can get some dirt when I want it." So that's not why you're here to apply. I hope you buy the property, and I hope you continue to run a successful business. Like they all do the research to see how your business does and everything else. Well, I know you've done your research too, because we've had some conversations. And I don't know, I just don't want to tell the board how to make their decision or talk to the electrical department or the planning department or the vice president or all these people. So, I don't know, just as an abutter, I got the letter, I got it in my pocket, and I was here a few years ago when Mike was applying to put a 12,000 square foot building in there. And they basically told him, look, you need 4 out of 5 board members or something to approve it, but you only have 4, so basically you don't have much of a choice. You might want to wait 2 years and come back 2 years later. So here we are again, years later, talking about the same stuff about something that you want to buy. Not what Mike McCura owns right now, or what he did with it, or what he did with it, or you're out there taking video cameras and pictures, and you're trespassing on the property.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I won't have buckets of dirt for you, by the way.
That's all right.
Anybody else?
Contaminated dirt, you can drop it
Just
off.
Anybody else? You.
one thought for the applicant that I came up with while the public was talking to us is in terms of trying to limit the uses as we discussed, as I mentioned earlier. It would be useful if we have like in writing like descriptions of the trucks that you do use on site, because I know when you think of I saw your little models when I came in here.
Why don't, oh no. I see.
We have tractors.
Hey,
I think I have 2 of them.
are those gonna get filed in the record for this hearing?
If you would like. We have, so this would be the trailer. This is the majority of what will be there.
I see.
Trailers without a power unit that will just sit in a row. I may not need them for 6 months, and I may need 5 of them for a project. The majority of what you'll see, they won't be wooden, they'll be made of metal,
Okay.
but they'll be.
Okay,
And then there could be straight trucks. That's what will be done.
yeah. So no vehicles built after the beginning of World War II.
There are some more current ones. There are some more recent models.
Oh, I see.
But yeah,
Okay.
my main thing is something in writing, either
Yeah, well,
pictures of what you have.
I think that there's gotta be a lot of back and forth, and you can ask for everything you know you need, right? I don't think we need to.
Okay.
I think it'll, I have faith. Anyway, it's, half an hour after we should have. Okay, is there Anything more tonight?
I just want to comment on the question of the definitions in the use table. It's always a challenge to take a given use, so what someone like Mark here wants to do, and to try to find the right category in the use table for it. And more often than not, it's not an exact fit. There are, you could not construct a use table with definitions precise enough to cover all cases exactly. That's the problem with trying to spell out a lot of different uses in the use table. So what we do is we file it under the use that best matches the proposed use. But we don't necessarily have to have the permit allow, for instance, take truck terminal. We're not, this permit, although it fits in the category, some of what you do fits in the category of truck terminal, that does not mean that that we would be issuing a permit for all possible truck terminals. So the permit is issued, so that's a category that it fits into the use table, but the permit is for the specific use that the applicant is asking for. So you're not asking for anything that might be considered a truck terminal. You have specific ideas of what you've asked for, and you've documented that. And so truck terminal is a category fit, but again, what controls here is what the applicant has actually asked for. And ultimately, the permit will have to reflect that.
I think that this will go a lot faster if we let them work with Fiona and get us down to some paper. Don't you agree?
Yes, I think we are probably at a point where the board is not in need of further information at this point. That we're probably in a position where a decision can be drafted in consultation with the applicant, perhaps. I would recommend that I'm not recommending that we close the public hearing, but that we have enough information so that the drafting of a decision can proceed with some back and forth between staff and the applicant to nail down some of the specific language.
So what we need right now is a request to continue the hearing.
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
We need to take up the peer review waiver request before we.
We're not closing the hearing. I think
it's in ours and the applicant's best interest to decide what we want to do with that peer review waiver tonight before we move on.
You want to make a motion on that?
Sure. I will move the board grant the waiver request for the peer review based on the information that was presented today.
Second.
The request to not require.
Yes.
To waive the requirement.
To waive the requirement of a peer review.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
How do we reconcile that the impact is no different than the previous, even though the use is being modified?
Well, does the peer review tell us anything, given what information they'll have?
Yeah, I think the most the peer review would say is, yeah, truck terminal could be more use or it could be less, but it depends on what the applicant is saying they're going to do and recondition with, I think.
Yeah. I mean, keep in mind that the site design, the site plan, the plan of, the grading and paving and buildings, that has already been peer reviewed.
Yes.
That was peer reviewed for the previous application.
Yeah.
And nothing has changed in that regard. If anything has changed, it's the intensity of use has been scaled back. But I don't know that that was ever a significant factor in the peer review to begin with.
Right.
Yeah, they look at drainage and, 1,000 things, but I don't see, as long as it's the same, essentially the same site plan it was.
If I may, Mr. Chair, just they're not installing any utilities, drainage, not moving any dirt. It's that what would be peer reviewed is there's really nothing to review in this instance.
Yeah. They're not installing any lights that we need a lighting plan for. A lighting plan that would be reviewed by Okay, was somebody starting to make a motion?
A motion was made and seconded.
Made and seconded to
To
grant the,
grant the waiver request for,
okay.
and fee.
Any more discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So voted. Now, if you wanted to request a continuation of the hearing to whenever you two think is good,
22nd is the next meeting. September 22nd.
2 weeks would be enough time to work out some of the details that we've talked about.
I think you're gonna need all 2 weeks.
And as always, if necessary, it can be continued
Yeah,
again. But
but-
if we have a,
It's not unreasonable to set 2 weeks.
Make sure it's not,
It's got a reasonable chance of making it.
Yeah.
Okay,
I can, we can prioritize it.
so, are you making?
We'd like to formally request the continuance, please.
I move we grant the applicants to be received in 2 seconds written request to continue the hearing until September 22nd, 2025 at 7:30 p.m.
Okay,
Second.
hold on.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Monday, September.
Hearing none, all in favor? Aye,
Hold on,
opposed?
can't do it, they can't do it then.
I can't do it.
What?
Do you, it's
Oh.
Rosh Hashanah, do you guys actually have a hearing that night, or?
Would you like to withdraw your
do.
motion?
You do?
I would do withdraw my motion.
The next one is the 6th, October 6th.
What date?
After the 6th, due to holidays and town meeting, the next one after that is the 27th of October.
So if I don't need to be here, then the Jewish holiday is fine. You can be here if you want to do that. Otherwise, the following.
We should continue to the following.
The 6th.
Yes,
Give me a
please.
date.
October 6th,
Okay.
I believe was.
I now move that we grant the applicant's written request to continue this hearing until October 6th, 2025 at 7:30 p.m.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion.
Yes. Is there, Mike, if I may, which meeting are you on?
That's the one I'm not here.
Okay. So Mike cannot participate if you were to close, I mean, if you were to close and vote on the decision that evening, Mike will be available to vote on the 6th.
Will not be available.
Will not be available.
And we don't have Ray.
Ray could
Ray
mow it.
recused himself from this.
We
That's
don't
right,
have
Ray recused from this. So.
So you have to get 4 on a 4 if we go to that date.
Well, we could go to that date, still have the hearing, and then do our decision in the next meeting as well. That's always a possibility. If-
Well,
Yeah.
if you make a decision, do you want the hearing to open, or do you want to have to come around on that date knowing that you're down to four votes, and you need 4? Would you rather go to a date that you can have all 5?
I'm hoping to get a unanimous decision, whether there's 4 or 5 or 12, so unless my counsel suggests otherwise, I'm fine with it.
I would suggest that we'll keep the date and,
October 6th
yes, please.
at 7:30.
Yes.
And that's been moved and seconded, I think.
Yes.
I moved it, I don't remember the second.
Yeah, Greg seconded it.
Okay.
I'll try to be on these.
I'm sure it was seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, so voted. There's a form that you need to
Yep.
sign over here. Okay, thank you. We'll see
Thank you for
you,
your
Thank you very much.
we'll see you then. Is there anything else which may lawfully come before us? Apparently not. No need to go beyond 10 o'clock.
Move adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded, not debatable. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So voted.